Good day and welcome to lesson 17 in our study of the book of Mark. Today we're going to start chapter 6 and do the first 6 verses. This is an ongoing story of Christ and his journey through the area of Galilee. And this verse starts by saying he went from there, from Capernaum, where he had been preaching and where he had been healing and where he had been teaching, and then went back to his own country, which was Nazareth. Now Nazareth was a number of miles distance from Capernaum, and it was only a small village at that time, maybe of anywhere between 300 and 500 people. So Jesus grew up there, and he was known by the people there. So he came and went to his own country, to the area of Nazareth, and it says, and when the Sabbath had come, as was Jesus' often habit, he began to teach in the synagogue. And many who heard him were astonished, saying, "Where did this man get these things?" And Jesus was not brought up as a rabbi, or was not apparently brought up in any kind of educational facility. He was trained as a carpenter. Or, as a carpenter was known, really a handyman or a tradesman. He often worked with stone, he often worked with brick, he often worked with different materials than wood, even though he was often called a carpenter. So, Jesus was said, where did this man get these things? And what wisdom is this which is given to him, that such mighty works are performed by his hands? So the people there who were listening to him were amazed at his knowledge, at his understanding, at his teaching, and were all puzzled as to how he came by these abilities, because he had had no apparent formal training in any of them. They must have heard about his exploits in Capernaum, how he had healed people, how he had cast out demons, how he had these huge throngs of people following him for his teaching. So they must have wondered, where did all this come from? Not realizing exactly who he was. They recognized him as the son of Joseph, the son of Mary, and a carpenter. And they said that, is not the carpenter, the son of Mary? Now, in those times, being a tradesman had a particular kind of quality to it, but he was also not one of the upper classes. He was not one of the more elite people. And saying he was a carpenter sort of was a derogatory term for what he had been doing. In addition to that, in teaching and in talking and exhibiting knowledge of what he did, healing people. And then they also said the son of Mary. In those days, you were always called the son of the father. You would have been called the son of Joseph. This was also a bit of a derogatory term. And it may have been a reference to the fact that Jesus was, in the eyes of the Jewish people, illegitimate, because he had no natural father. Mary was pregnant before she and Joseph became husband and wife. So this may have been a derogatory term. So Jesus came back to his own place to minister, to teach, to heal, and yet he was put down because people did not want to accept him as being who he actually was. Perhaps they were a bit jealous of him, perhaps they were a bit perplexed by him, but they did not really see him in the eyes of how they should have seen him, as being who he really was. Is this not the son of Mary, and brother of James and Joseph and Judas and Simon, and are not his sisters here with us? So he was a typically common Jewish man, according to these persons' observations. Are not these his brothers and sisters? Is he not the son of this woman Mary? Was he not just a simple carpenter? These were a bit of a put-down type phrases. He was not accepted by his own people. They expected him to be as he left them, a simple man, a carpenter, a child who grew up into being a man and a person with a profession of laboring, and that was all they expected. They would not accept him for what he had actually done and what he had actually become. So these were derogatory terms, the son of Mary, a carpenter, and are not his brothers and sisters around him. And this is not really unusual. It says in Luke that those people who were in the synagogue at this time were filled with wrath. They rose up and thrust him out and actually wanted to throw him down over a cliff because they were so angry. It said in Isaiah 53:3 as a prophecy, he would be despised and rejected by man. We did not esteem in him. We had no esteem in him. So it was prophesied that he would be like this. He would be rejected by his own people. In fact, in Mark 3:21, his family said he is out of his mind. So all of what Jesus did in Capernaum and was accepted for and was thronged for and had massive followings for, his own family said he was crazy, and the people of his own hometown rejected him, despised him, and were derogatorily put him down because he was just a carpenter. He was just the son of Mary. He had just had normal brothers and sisters. So Jesus replied to them and said, a prophet is not without honor except in his own community, his own country, among his own relatives, and in his own house. Not without honor in his whole country, and even with his relatives, and especially in his house. Now he could do no work there except that he laid his hands on a few sick people and healed them. And he marveled because of their unbelief. In spite of what he spoke in the synagogue, in spite of healing a few people there, in spite of what people knew he had done in Capernaum, he still was without honor. They objected to him. They railed against him. And like it says in Luke, they meant almost to throw him out and to throw him over a cliff. They wanted to get rid of him. Maybe they were just jealous of the fact that he could do these things and they couldn't. Maybe they were awestruck at the fact that he actually had these abilities when they never saw this in him growing up. But in any case, they rejected him. And this is what he said, a man is not without honor. He had honor in Capernaum, he had honor other places he left. He had honor where he cast the demon out of the man in Gennesaret, but he was in no honor in his own house, in his own town, in his own village. So he could do no mighty work there, except that he laid his hands on a few sick people and healed them, and he marveled because of the unbelief that people did not believe in him in his own town. He marveled because of their unbelief. It's evident that Jesus can do nothing, God can do nothing for us unless we have some faith and belief in him. It's the same as if you're going to do something. If you don't have the faith that you can do it, have some belief in yourself, have some belief in that it can be done, then you're never going to do it. And Jesus said, unless people have faith in him, have belief in him, that he can do what he says he can do, that he is who he said he was, then he can do nothing for us, whether he can or whether he won't. But the idea is that Jesus said because of the unbelief in the people in his own town, he could do nothing. But he left them and went about the other villages in a circuit around his own town, teaching and preaching there. It's the unbelief of people that cause a lot of trouble. We have a lot of people who will not believe, who will not take the time to believe, who will not consider that there is something to believe. And because of that, God does nothing. We all suffer. And this is what he was saying in his own town. Their unbelief led him so that he could do nothing for them except heal a few scattered people. Whereas in other areas he cast out demons, he did healings, he healed sicknesses, he raised from the dead. And in spite of all this, people had no belief. We have to have belief if we are going to see any works done on our behalf or by God in any way. It is the unbelief which holds things back. And that is the idea of the small section. It was the unbelief in Nazareth which caused Christ not to be able to do what he wanted to do. And so he left and went to the villages around and taught there. This is only a short passage, but it's just important to understand how much belief and unbelief play in our ability to understand and get help and assistance from God when we need it. We'll get on to the next part of this chapter next week. But thanks for watching this, and hope to see you then. And bye for now.